So we're out there, we're doing junior achievement. Why is that bringing value to Toyota? Because we are in the communities who care, that the companies care about them. We wear Toyota badge on our shoulder, and we are helping people because that's what we want to do, right? These are volunteers. These are not people who are paid to go out and teach junior achievement. These are people like, those of us who want to do community work. And we happen to do it so that there is, I call it a triple win situation, right? It's like we win because those of us who want to do community work because we think it makes the world better, we get our value. The kids who get exposure to these new ideas and open their world to a broader way of thinking, they win. And because we help to engender goodwill in the community, our company wins as well. So that's
a great answer.
I think that's it.
One of the things I want to share with you, at IBM, 5 years ago, we decided to open up what we call an employee jam session. And back then we were about 400,000 employees. We opened it up for 48 hours. We asked our employees to give us their input. And we received well over 200,000 responses. And the CEOs had to go through this stuff, every single response. The good news out of that, again, talking about innovation, it actually built IBM's new customer service values. And they came from the community and inside of IBM. So this is the importance about innovation. Use technology to your advantage. Create diversity network groups. Again, we call them affinity. And I'll tell you what happens. You empower your employees. And when you do, new ideas come out. And they'll raise issues saying, you know what, you're not helping this community, or you're not putting enough interest here. So again, these are opportunities for you as executives to empower your employees, let them give you some feedback as to how to improve your company image. The next question is, and actually I'm going to ask Andrea to kind of continue this. In your opinion, here we go. How does multicultural marketing differ from diversity? And I know this is a real hot topic in New York with the agencies out there. So just give us your perspective from Toyota's. How do you guys tackle this challenge?
As the United States, and everybody knows that the demographics of the United States are changing. That's simply a fact. You can look it up. The Census Bureau, by the way, 2010 census coming up. We're going to get a bunch of really good, accurate news. Then there's also several organizations that maintain demographic information over the years between censuses. And so we know demographics are changing, right? So if you are a company who sells to those demographics and you ignore those demographics, you will fail, right? You are not going to hit your market if you are not paying attention to those demographics. So what does that mean, to pay attention to those demographics? That means you have to be diverse internally, diverse with your suppliers, and you have to listen. I love what they talked about this morning. You have to listen. Who are your customers? What are they interested in? What do they want, especially from you and the products that you're selling, the products and services that you provide. So what do they want? What are they interested in? So Toyota does a certain amount of getting out into the marketplace and making sure they understand what does the African American market want? What are they interested in? What are their hot buttons? Same with the Latino market, same with the Asian market, same with the GLBT market, right? So we have to understand what the markets want. And even more, it even gets, and I'll give you this example we talked about. Those markets themselves, those niches that you want to try to put in a bucket, you can't even put them in a bucket, right? You try to put the Latino market in a bucket, you will fail. I have seen the mistakes happen, right? Even with Toyota, and I won't go into them, but you fail if you are not paying attention to the fact that, you have your Mexican American market, you have your Cubano market, you have the Puerto Rican market, right? South American market, and all the language that is spoken in the background and the needs and the interests of those sub-markets, if you will, vary a little bit, right? And sometimes significantly, right? And you can really trip up if you are not paying attention to those differences. And that applies really to everyone you want to sell your products and services to. So, yes.
Would you mind to give us one example so that we can create some relationship to that?
Example of a boo-boo?
Well, or just, something, yes, either that or
Okay,
something
no, I
that's
can do
a
that.
success story also.
I'll be careful,
maybe.
girl. Be careful.
Yes.
I have one of my best friends and colleagues from Toyota, Gail Herring, here, who is in the diversity and inclusion department. I have to be careful about our diversity and inclusion boo-boos. A while back, there was a product, paper material that Toyota had put together, and fortunately had not been distributed very far by the time those of us who are Mexican American in heritage got a hold of it and said, okay, you've used some language here that is totally unacceptable to a middle-class, hard-working, Catholic Mexican American. I know that's a lot of specifics, but it was, and I won't even say the words, but it was language that is unacceptable. Well, they said, well, we asked some people if it was okay. I said, did you call Univision or Telemundo and did you ask them, could you say this on the air? Would they produce this on the air? And they said, oh, we didn't think of that. I said, you know, so you have to take a step back and realize that there's education involved, and sometimes that education has to come with the bumps, but it would be better if you could get that education in advance, right, so you don't make those mistakes.
And you just actually triggered another example, and that is, in the U.S., when we say Asians, we include Japanese and Chinese in the same bucket. And that's bad business. Because even in the real world, those two countries don't see eye to eye. So in the United States, including IBM, when we talk about Asians, we actually break it down: Asian Chinese, Asian Indian, Asian, Japanese, and other parts of the Asian countries. Because we cannot assume from an artwork, design, colors, that's going to be acceptable to all those different audiences. So now we've got teams in those countries to review our content and say, is this going to be acceptable if we run this ad in the United States? We have to be very sensitive to a lot of those different cultures. So, Annette.
Well, to Andrea's point, and I think you really hit it on the head, because I even have a personal experience where I had a coworker who on his HR forms would not just check off the box Hispanic, would not do it. And he made sure everybody in the company knew how passionate he was about being Cuban. He was born in Cuba. He came to the United States when he was 5, and he made it a point. I recently ran into him, and he told me that because we talked about that a bit, he told me his new company where he's at now, they just told him, which they were being very kind, and they said, oh, they meant to be very kind, we have your food here, you'll be happy for lunch, we're serving your food. He said, and I knew where it was going to go, what's my food? So you can only imagine. It was not Cuban food. And he proceeded to stand up and give a large training class lesson on his background and the differences, and he's very well educated, he does know it all, and they were floored, they were stunned. But he feels it's his responsibility. Now that's just a small example of how we all feel about our culture and our past. I'm Cuban American, I'm a second generation